Oh, hey, good evening. Welcome, everybody, to another riveting edition of Three Dudes Brews, the last call. I'm Buddy Thayer. I'm your co-host of this wonderful expedition into beer. This is our live look at everything and nothing, and, of course, beer. One of the occasions I had quite a few beers this week was I had watching my beloved Boston Celtics. Christ, they went down. They're down 2-0 against the evil New York Knicks. I don't know. They're not handling that ball so well. When I think of two guys who are handling balls really well, I think of these two guys. I'm gonna bring them in really quick. Hold on. The best ball handlers I know. Costas and Ed, guys. How you doing tonight?
How you doing? Let me tell you, everything I know and have learned from juggling balls, buddy, I've learned from you.
Yeah. Oh, that's special of you to say, Ed. Thank you so much.
That's all I can say.
We've had so much short time together too.
All of a sudden, he's got jokes.
I know.
To learn.
He's getting a little cocky.
Indeed.
A little cocky, if you will. I've been in control of. I've been made the home for the top cock for the last 2-3 months now, I think. So
Two.
It's been like, dude, I won it in February. We taped in February, and I won it then, and now it's May, and it's beautiful.
Listen, we had a little extra time.
Mm-hmm.
You need 3 wins
down
for Dynasty.
If I do believe it was, I think, rock, paper, scissors.
I beat both you motherfuckers in rock, paper, scissors to win it, and then I schooled the shit out of you after Costas skunked at Crafted Hope. So that's a little bit of an update.
It hasn't aired yet.
Listen, I've got a new mission.
Can we edit that part out?
I'll.
Costas, this is live. We can't edit shit, dude.
No, my being skunked at Crafted Hope.
So anyway,
dude, you went to the brewery where we made a beer with these guys, and you just got. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Costas. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have a guest.
Yes.
Join us.
Oh yeah, we have a special dudette, I guess, of the month you can call her.
Lady
of the month. Welcome to the show. Yankee Brew news writer and beer enthusiast, Heather Bryant. Welcome to the show, dear.
Hi,
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on, Heather. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Do
you have any ball comments for me? Or
No, I just my inappropriate comments are just for Ed and Costas because they are really good at handling the balls.
When it comes to women, Buddy is he's
I'm not as ball busted.
Put it into words here, please.
So you guys know, I mean, I review beer. I've got 4 brothers. It's not.
There we go. Gloves are off, folks.
I work at a software engineering firm. I work with dudes all day, so I'm not.
Gloves are off.
I'm asking.
So maybe next time I will make a ball handling comment to bring you on, Heather. But this time, all right, good. All right, it's good to know.
Now we know.
Buddy, need I to remind you that your mother's watching?
Yeah, my mom's out awake right now, Costa. She will be watching later though. But she expects nothing but inappropriate comments and pig
I'm
humor.
sure she does. Probably.
She raised me right.
I'm completely appalled by that. I can't believe she would expect these horrible things to come out of your mouth.
Horrible.
So, Yankee Brew news.
Yes.
How long have you been doing that?
Let's see, about 2 years now.
Okay. How did you get started in the business?
So in the business, well, it's not my full-time job. I wish. It's just something that I picked up because I started getting into beer like 7 years ago only. But at the same time, I'm a writer as well. And as I wrote for other magazines and other things, and as I got more into beer, I thought, man, it'd be really awesome to be able to write about beer. Like that's like my dream. And then I thought, well, we'll just see what happens. And then I saw an advertisement for Yankee Brew News. They were looking for a Rhode Island columnist. So I applied and I didn't get it. The guy who got it was Nate. He was awesome, and that's fine. But the editor was like, well, we like you a lot. Would you maybe consider doing Connecticut? And I said, sure, I'm not from Rhode Island. I don't mind driving. I'll go around. So I started doing Connecticut and doing the news and reviewing the breweries. And now I've been given the Rhode Island So I am actually your official Rhode Island correspondent for years now. So
we're going to definitely be talking more.
So Connecticut beers, do you have any favorites that you could recommend from Connecticut, being that you reviewed Connecticut for so long?
Yeah, I'd probably say my number one experience was Dead Language, which is in West Hartford.
Oh, nice.
So if you're really into European style, German, Czech, like really nerdy about that kind of stuff, that guy knows what he's doing. Nice. It's really, really good. That's the first time I've ever had a smoked beer that I really understood why people like it. Right. You know what I mean? Like you can go over it, so it can just be an awful experience when you have a smoked beer if it's not done right. But if it's done properly, you're like, I get it. And that was an I get moment when I had the beers there, which was awesome. And I'm not impressed by too much. I've had my share. So I remember. I'm like,
please, ladies first.
No, that's what I was just gonna say. Is just when something really is extraordinary, it's a great experience for me.
Smoked beers make me think of smoked meat, and I immediately have to go to the smoker and just start throwing everything on, so that way I can carry it.
And when you think of smoked meat, do you think of Buddy smoking meat?
I knew it. I was going to say something, and then you did it right before I did.
There's a new Pope now, right?
Savvy son of a bitch, you.
Took a bit. I saw where it was going. It took a bit, but eventually got it. Well done. Very nice.
What got you into writing, Heather?
Always been a writer. Actually, I have my master's in poetry, of all things.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, James.
So no, but I've been writing in marketing and in development, and then for like Providence Monthly and Motif and things like that. And actually, poetry works really well in those types of writing because you have a word count, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I have the same thing with Yankee Brew News. Like I can only, for when I do a brewery review, I can only write 250 words. That's not that much.
No.
You think about it. So if you think about like in poetry, you gotta cut stuff all the time, right? And same thing in writing for places. Like you have to think, okay, what's essential and what needs to go. And sometimes it's painful. Like there's places I wish I could write way more about, but you have to really think, okay, what's the biggest impact I can have?
Self-edit.
Yeah. So it works. So it's kind of a weird come around moment, but it actually works quite well for this.
Nice. Yeah. You got to learn to cut out the fluff, I guess,
You do.
Be a lot more concise with your word choice.
You do. And then of course you're trying to get the place across and then the beers across at the same time, all within 250 words. So it's like, it's a challenge, but I like it. And nice. I love going to the different places and hearing stories, and every brewery owner's got a cool story, like why they got into it. Why do they love it? What made them take the leap? Like what are they really passionate about? What are they really proud of? So those kind of experience, I love going to those places and just hearing their stories and giving them a little bit of free press if I can.
Yeah,
that's why we started this.
Yeah,
it's because I think it started last year when we were doing the Big Lebrewski, and we were like, we love beer. Why don't we talk about it? We love the experience of going to the breweries with like meeting all the people in the craft beer community, and everybody's so warm and inviting, and you pull up a chair. There's never any like, it's not like a bar where you're going to walk in and you're going to have.
No, it's totally different.
No,
and I'll say actually, as a woman going into these places, you might think I'd feel uncomfortable. I'm never uncomfortable in a brewery. No. And not only as a woman, but I go in by myself. Most of the time.
I don't really tone. It's different feel.
I don't really have any friends who are really into beer with me, so they don't want to come. So I'm like, sure, I'll just go myself. And so you'd think maybe I'd go in and it'd be weird, but no, any brewery I go to, I always feel welcome. Anytime I travel, I'm always like, where's the brewery? I'm going to go find one because I know that's going to be a place where I feel welcome. And that's
I think one of those things nowadays, especially that, more women are getting into craft beer.
Yeah.
They're not just drinking, Zimas or, whatever.
Zimas.
Something different.
Wow.
That's another story. But, it's one of those things where, like you said, it's not a bar.
No.
You don't feel like, you're going to get hit on the second you walk in the door, I would think, anyway,
actually, it's funny you just said that, because when you said that, I thought, well, have I been hit on at a brewery? And I'm like, I don't think I have.
It's a completely different environment.
They're just like, hey, what are you doing? Like, they're curious. They want to ask
James,
questions.
you're absolutely right.
Guys, controversial. I'm just going to throw this out there. A bit of a controversial topic in the beer community. Thoughts? Go. Here we go. So funny seeing kids, newborns at breweries.
Hey, listen, my newborn twins at the time years ago that was, I think, one of the first outings we had with them was we took them to a local brewery, the Village Idiot in Mount Holly, New Jersey.
Okay.
The in-laws came down to visit and see the new kids, and we're like, hey, my father-in-law's a big beer guy, so we're like, let's go check this place out. So there we are, sitting there at the table with a double stroller sitting there parked at the table, and they just slept the whole time. They didn't even know what was going on.
Right. Our camera guy for our other show, Joseph, just had a newborn last September, and he has intention on packing. We just said it in the text today. He has intention on packing the kid up and the wife and going up to Vigilant and getting a fresh batch of peanut butter jelly time as soon as it comes out. Honestly, it's like a dog. If you're going to bring a kid into a brewery, if you're going to bring a dog in, at least behaving.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I'm not a huge fan of the kids, but I do when it's a big place and there's a big place for them to run around.
Yep.
That's good. Not when it's like a tiny place. That's weird.
Right. It starts getting, if I got
a big outdoor beer garden, then it's awesome when kids are there and dogs are there. Like that's great. That's
when I got to stop fighting the toddlers for seats,
right.
It's a little
right.
weird,
Or if you're moving around the brewery and doing whatever, and you're tripping over little kids.
Yeah,
it's a hazard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's one thing if the parents are watching the children, in my opinion, and we've discussed this several times. If you're watching your kids, great. But if you're sitting there pounding down 3 or 4 imperial beers and you're getting tanked, and you got a 3 and a 4-year-old who's running around and they're knocking stuff over. No, you wouldn't bring them to the old man bar down the street. Why is it that having a beer at the old man, if you went to the local social club, you wouldn't bring your 4-year-old there and sit there and crush Bud Lights all day long, Coors Lights, be doing shots of
it's
whatever.
A different environment, though. It's more, I think.
Why is it acceptable at a brewery?
They're
brewed on location,
more friendly, more inviting. I think it's a warmer, family kind of feel.
So you in a sense, you also compared it to having a dog in a brewery, right?
Yeah.
So how many times have we been to a brewery and cute dog, awesome dog? Doesn't matter whether it's a teacup poodle or a Rottweiler.
If it's yappy,
the dog is well behaved. It's okay. Nobody's concerned. Nobody's disturbed. Nobody's bothered by that. But if you come in with 3 kids and they're acting like savages, bouncing off the walls, and you're sitting there, and we've seen that. It's the same thing with dogs. How many times have we been in places we walk in and somebody brings in a dog that's clearly aggressive and starts fighting with every single dog in the brewery? Everybody's the whole entire scene, the mood, everything changes, and now everybody's just tense because
now we hate kids and dogs.
Well, I have a question for you.
Oh.
Do you think, with regards to kids and dogs being in breweries, is that more of a recent thing? That it's kind of become more of an acceptable. I'm kind of wondering where that shift happened, where all of a sudden.
I think it happened when you were opening it up to millennials and other 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, stuff people of that age group.
You don't want to blame it on the hippies?
No, but you were trying to draw in more people, right? Which I totally understand because you got a business and you're trying to, as people age, you're trying to bring in more people, correct?
Accommodate.
Well,
So-
hopefully.
Right.
Otherwise, your customer base kind of dies.
Yeah,
off.
exactly.
Literally.
Your customer base starts to die. You need to bring in more people. So I understand opening it up to have, dogs, but you've seen a lot of breweries starting to pull back from that and putting up signs where, anybody under 21 not allowed after 7 p.m.
Yeah,
I think that's good.
I do.
Sorry, no dogs per whatever rule or regulation that might be out there. That's one way to cover your CYA is to say, okay, well, it's not allowed per local health department or per local ordinance or something like that. So sorry, we can't allow it, right? Except for in the case where you have a service dog, and that's allowed.
Like, yeah, you could get really nerdy about this, and which probably not be very interesting to your viewers. But yeah, like you're talking about like health code and insurance and things like that. Like I wonder about all of that.
Yeah.
But again, that's not super interesting to me. It's interesting.
We could go on.
They gotta be
for hours about it.
So I have a riveting question that's been on everybody's mind. Heather, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from a place called Sauble Beach in Ontario, Canada.
Hey.
Canadian, eh?
Go ahead.
Hey.
Yeah, well, you know.
Hey, let's go play some hockey. Hey.
Fine. Go ahead.
Yay.
Please.
That's okay.
Tell me
maybe-
something I haven't heard, please.
Maybe shifting residencies.
I
So
will
what
say,
brings
if
you
I've
to
had
this
enough
area?
of these, then you will actually hear my Canadian accent. You might
That's
hear
fantastic.
a little bit of it, but when I cross the border, it's completely different. I
Yeah.
sound like a totally different person. But I
Are you-
flattened it out.
English
Speaking of your
Canadian or
glass,
French
what's in your
Canadian?
glass?
So I actually learned French for like 10 years. But I'm Scottish, but no, I'm not French Canadian. But no, I found that in the US, it's like one of the acceptable accents to still make fun of.
Mhm.
When I started living here, I was like, well, I got to flatten out my accent. I can't do it. I'm just sick of it. So you might hear a little bit here and there, but the more I have of my beer, you'll hear more.
Oh,
What's
that's
in your
wonderful.
glass?
What is in my glass? I am having
yeah.
Southern Tier just released, which is one of my favorite breweries outside of Rhode Island. Southern Tier just released their raspberry wheat,
Nice.
which I hadn't seen before. It's a limited release. I have it in my 12 Guns mug, which
Wow.
you all remember 12 Guns. That was
Yeah.
actually the place where I first really fell in love with beer and really started getting to know it. I used to hang out there all the time. So rip to those guys. That was a
Love
Yeah.
that place.
Good spot.
Unfortunate. So speaking of Southern Tier, great, love it.
Mhm.
You had to pick one brewery forever. You can't drink anybody else's beer, but there's one brewery.
Ed.
I put her on the spot.
Wow.
Dude.
Crooked Current in Pawtucket.
Damn.
Wow.
Nice. Shout out to Nicole.
Shout out
Yes.
to Nicole, who I have said many times in my writing, I think she is the best brewer in the state.
I saw the profile you did.
That's speaking a
I
lot
still
because there's
believe it. I said
quite a
it years
few.
ago. I still believe it.
There's a lot of
She was
fantastic
doing
breweries.
stuff
out
that
there.
I don't even like. Like I'm not a huge IPA person, for example. I'll have it just to
Same.
measure like a brewer's skill. You can really use an IPA to do that. She puts out an IPA. I'm like, I'll try it. I remember she put out a maple coffee stout, and I don't like coffee and beer. But I was like, well,
What? You're Canadian. You got the maple.
The maple you would think, but the coffee I don't like. But I was like, you know what? Nicole did it. I'll try it. And it was good. I was like, I can't believe I'm drinking this.
There's only been one beer of Nicole's, and she knows I love what she does over there. There's only one beer. Which one?
The
Matcha.
mocha.
Matcha.
The machata. Yeah.
Yeah, matcha. She did
Yeah.
I can't even remember everything that it was about. But I don't know what happened. We just got like the logo thrown up at the corner and covering your face, I think. But anyway, that matcha beer was the only one that I was like,
It's not great. It's not
I
great.
have-
I bought some of it, but
and she could see the look on my face, and I'm like, no.
You know what? There's an occasional misfire with even amazing brews. That's what I find so fascinating about brewing, because it's so scientific and exacting, but it's so it can be so creative at the same time.
Right.
And one of the things I love, and I still want to do an article about this, is that I love instances where like you're brewing a batch and it doesn't come out right. And then you hear like, okay, so what do we do with this? How do we pivot? What do we add to it? How do we like adjust it? And then when it turns out, then it turns into something phenomenal. And they never meant it for it to be like that. Like they just had to think, okay, I got to pivot. Those stories, I love those stories.
So I want to say it was Angle Tree. When we went to Angle Tree and we spoke to John there, there was a beer they were supposed to be doing that was supposed to be a black one.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it didn't quite turn out the way they
went
wanted
brown,
it to
right?
be.
It was brown border.
It was delicious.
Right.
I love that. Like that's just the coolest thing in the world to me.
It's so good.
Disaster and say, okay, I'm going to use my knowledge. I'm going to use everything I got, and I'm just going to pivot and turn it into something completely. Who knows how it's going to turn out? And then it ends up being great. Like that. I love that stuff. I think that's the coolest thing.
Did John from Vigilance say the same thing happened there at one point?
Yeah, they had Vigilant had something happen similar to that. I'm trying to remember which. I don't remember what.
I'd have to
beer it
go back
was.
to the tail of the tape, but
Yeah, they had the same
Happy
thing.
little
Where
accidents.
It's like, oh, we didn't intend for that, but
Yeah.
okay, it worked. So thank God we didn't waste the whole batch.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys put it out to her. I'm curious, Ed and Costas. What's that one brewery? What is that one brewery for you guys? Because I got one in the top of my mind. Crooked Current's a great one. Don't get me wrong; she does great stuff. But
You know, it's a real hard one. I mean, you came right off the bat, nailed it. I tend to go from one to another, and I'm like getting really obsessed with one for a little while, and then I kind of move on to another one. And lately, I would say it's been Tilted Barn.
Oh, look at you, Ed.
Yeah, lately it's been Tilted Barn. I've been making my way through their list of offerings that I can find here.
They have quite the lineup.
They're solid. They are very solid.
Yeah, it's one of my originals, one of my OGs of craft beer. Costas?
See, we're both off of Middle Spring Ave, so we hit we did the Pawtucket tour this past weekend. Foolproof, Smug, Crick Current, White Dog, all of those. So we're all like those are mainstays for us. Yeah. But for me, I would have to say Vigilant in Bristol, Rhode Island.
Wow.
Their pina colada, Spec Ops. The peanut butter and jelly is one of my top 3 beers, which happens to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. I think that they're looking for a Memorial Day release, and every single time that comes out, I have to pick up a case every time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's if it's so good that I have to spread the gospel of the peanut butter and jelly sour from Vigilant. So I would have to go with them. I don't spend enough time there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because we're Rhode Islanders and we don't want to drive.
This is true. But again,
I've lived here long enough. It's true.
We still got a lot further to get us. You got to get home after too. So.
Right. I have to drive all the way past Foolproof, Crooked, and Smug to get to, and I'm like, oh, I just have to get past that.
So, buddy, what's yours?
All right. So I love
live all day, all night.
That's a good choice.
Long live's always solid.
Now you're throwing me up. I'm not going to go long live. I do love long live. It's a swell choice. Maybe a very close second. I'm going to go up to Massachusetts to go to Treehouse Brewing, and that's going to be my one and done. They have everything times 10. Why would I not want to go there? I go on special camping trips once a year. I usually have a lot of Treehouse. And that's one of the few times I go there.
Julius.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, King Julius, Green, Juice Machine, just to name a few. Their Pilsner is really good. They have the barrel aged stuff. They have the heavy stouts. They have the light beers. They have a little bit of everything. You can't really. Oh, Treehouses, yeah, right. They're so good. Only 3 is allowed though. They have that. As big as Treehouse is, they're like $1 billion beer industry in Massachusetts. They still make beer that you can only get like 2 at a time per person, and that's kind of special to me. So, that's my.
That's cool. I haven't been there in a while. I'll have to.
It's a good spot.
I'm always making a list of new places to go to. So
the one in Sandwich is really nice down by the beach.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Heather, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about ciders and seltzers?
Oh boy, here we go.
I'm not a real cider person. Seltzers for a very specific purposes, like if I'm at a concert, like basically if I'm looking to enjoy myself, something kind of light in the summer, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Not my first choice.
Okay.
Right.
Are you asking her because she's a woman, Costas?
I'm asking because she's an author and she works for Yankee Brew News, right? So it's brew. So we've said this before. It's a brew. Cider is a brew. Wine is.
It's not. I mean,
all fermentation. So you cannot take a $1 billion industry and poo on it and push it.
Or maybe cider's a brew, but the seltzer, dude, it's not. It's soda water and flavor.
No, but I would argue that all the breweries are starting to hop on making their own because they're starting to diversify. So whether or not I don't know if it has the same gravitas as beer, but it's definitely a presence everywhere. So it's
Absolutely.
sort of brewing.
It is. It is a presence.
You know,
For somebody like my wife who doesn't drink beer,
exactly.
having seltzers and ciders in anything that's a non-beer at a
Yeah.
brewery will help to bring her in. So that
And that's
way
the whole
I
reason.
can say, okay, Vigilant has these fantastic seltzers, or this brewery happens to have ciders as well.
Yeah.
There's something for her as well as for me.
Yeah.
I'm a home brewer, so I'll brew across the entire spectrum from beer, wine, cider, mead, whatever. And she likes certain things, but she doesn't like beer. It gives that like unpleasant yeasty taste of like you're reminded of like the crappy beer that your father, your grandfather used to drink.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So, it smells like beer. It tastes like beer. I don't want to drink it. But we go to certain breweries, Vigilant, for instance, and we have their sours or anything like that. And she's like, I'm all in. So
Get that beer out of here.
It just depends, because I think a lot of people, when they think of beer, they are thinking of like their dad's beer or their granddad's
Right.
beer.
right.
It's like, although arguably you could say that there is a big trend right now about beer that tastes like beer, that everybody's kind of like going back to some of these like very
The classics.
beers and things
Vienna
like
lagers, right?
that. Lagers is big. Lagers is big.
Mm.
Seen a lot of pilsners, a lot of Kolsch, which is very surprising.
Kolsch is everywhere. Yeah.
It is.
I'm a
That's what
sucker
you're used
for
to,
good
but
pills.
that's the nice thing about going to these places is that you can say, well, I know you're not really into beer, but maybe just try this or just try this. And that's how you start realizing, like there's actually a lot more to this than
Fruity beers. My
I
wife loves
know.
lambic. A really good lambic. A fruit-based beer or whatever. Will draw people in.
I don't know like what I'm having right now. Like I like a nice wheat ale in the summer.
Oh, wheat.
This is
Fruit, like that's great in the summer. I used to be obsessed with UFO's Georgia Peach.
Oh yeah, that's good
Oh
too.
my god, that was my
wheat from
favorite.
Grace Ale.
And that's what I mean. Like, and that's a nice intro as well for people who are, because it's still light enough, but it's got a little bit of that fruit, and it's mostly anytime anybody asks me like, oh, what should I get? I'm always thinking on the lighter side because they don't want the hoppy stuff. They don't.
You don't want to scare them off either.
Well, that's what I mean. So it's like, okay, well, like a good wheat ale can be a really good intro.
Some double IPA with a lot of funk behind it.
Yeah. Not in the summer. I love wheat beer. I had about 7 Wachusett blueberries the other night at dinner, and it's so 7, of course, so smooth, so easy to drink. Such that blueberry in the back of it. I've been trying to talk to these guys about going up to Wachusett Brewery up in
Isn't that is it?
It's up in Mass somewhere, and they have so many great wheat beers on draft that you don't see, like at the liquor stores or the packy, if you will.
You guys, have you tried the blackberry wheat ale from Long Trail?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
no. It sounds a bit of a sour almost.
No, it's not a sour because I wouldn't want a sour. No, it's a wheat ale, but it's got blackberry in it. It's lovely. It's really nice.
How do you feel about sours?
I'm not into them, but I will. I don't. No, but listen.
It's okay. It's okay. Everybody has their own preference.
No, but if it sounds, I want a sour that is done well and that's interesting. I find a lot of sours, much like I find a lot of IPAs, really basic. Like it's just like whatever. So if you do something interesting, or if you do it really well, then I'm into it. But it's not the style that I'm going to gravitate to. If I'm looking at a choice, I'll never do sours. So I want to go to that place that's like all sours up in Massachusetts. I haven't been yet. I forget what that one's called.
Oh, right.
He knows what you're talking about.
Yes, I can't remember the name, but it's
in a triangle.
We were talking about with the Widowmaker.
Yeah.
And
It's fascinating to me. I'm like, you guys are just doing sours? That is crazy. Like that
is kind of crazy. I mean,
right?
You better be doing them well.
You have to.
Yeah, because that's all you're doing.
That's what I mean. I think that's fascinating. So now I really should go. I was going to say, so one of the articles that I did for Yankee Brew News actually was the argument asking the community as to whether or not you have to have an IPA on tap to succeed in New England.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Well,
I think that's been a question on our show many
But
times.
and there was a lot of like it really interesting, but it's if you think about it, like it's kind of risky to not have an IPA.
Right.
Mhm.
it's really risky
think
to
we
not have
100%
an
agree on
IPA.
that. You can't,
Right?
you
But
can't not have a New England or a double IPA
Not these
or
days.
a combination.
But-
of
Right?
both.
but I think that's fascinating. But then again, if you have a place that does things really well,
Mhm.
you can get away with it. So if you're
For
really
sure.
into style, you can get away with it. So it was an awesome discussion of everybody had lots of opinions about it. And
Mhm.
so a place like that, like immediately that's or like when I mentioned dead language, like they do straight up German
Mhm.
Czech, like that's what they love. And so any place
and
that really devotes like that, I think is pretty cool.
you gotta do what you're passionate about. And if you're not passionate about your IPAs, then it's probably going to show. It's not going to come out that well.
Yeah.
It doesn't have your heart and soul in it. So
I think
yeah,
it was.
but
I think it was trendy. And
well,
I think the
I'm
trend has
hoping-
died down.
I'm really
it's definitely
hoping it starts to swing the other way. And I'm not saying do away with the IPAs.
I think
No.
things have
But-
balanced out because you had so many places doing just all these double IPAs, New England's West Coast, and now you have there's like 160 plus different styles of beer out there, and people are starting to like bring back styles that you haven't seen Roush beers, right?
Mhm.
You're,
Yeah.
you're bringing there's now it's not just okay. We have a brewery and we have 7 IPAs, and then we've got like a stout and
Yeah.
a wheat beer.
I
Now
feel
you're
like I feel
getting-
those places.
Now you're getting two dippers. Now you're getting 2 stouts. You're getting a Vienna. You're getting a Vienna lager. You're getting a Czech Pilsner. You're getting a sour. So the spectrum, I think, at breweries, instead of it being just so narrow, where
Mhm.
like all you're focused on is just double IPAs, all
Well,
IPAs. Now you're seeing all the brewmasters opening up and trying all these different things, and some of them are not so great, but some of them are magic.
so I've got a point to make here. Do you think, and this goes for anybody can answer this one. Do you think that they're doing the IPAs simply for distribution and get the name out?
I think so.
Somewhat for first touch, yeah.
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 Right.
A lot of people, when they come into a brewery, they will ask for an IPA. I've talked to enough brewery tap managers; they all say that. And oftentimes you're trying to convince them to try other things.
Mhm.
But
Well-
what they ask is that they want the IPA.
And that's part of what
Mark's
we always
checking
try to
in. He's
do.
heading against it.
We
Edit
always-
to Gansett now he is.
Mark!
There you go.
The
mayor-
beer model.
We we try to encourage people to expand their palates, try some new stuff,
Yeah.
have something you haven't had in a while. Like Buddy, he jumped on the Pilsner bandwagon for a little while there.
Yeah.
I did. I still kind of am, Ed. Honestly, I am an IPA guy. I'm a double IPA guy.
Oh yeah, we know.
It's not just about the alcohol value; it's about the flavor. It's about the double the flavor, right? But after we did Angle Tree, and Jonathan had mentioned how Pilsners have almost like a popcorn butter taste. I'm like,
Right.
really? I'm like, I got to try this. So now everywhere we go, I try the Pilsner to see if it has that popcorn buttery taste. And I've had a new appreciation for the Pilsner that I never really had before. So I find
The
that
fact that there's even Pilsner on tap. Like that just is nuts to me. Like in terms of just trend wise, I'm like, really? After all the major like milkshake stouts and
yeah.
triple IPAs and
Yeah.
craziness, and now it's like, no, we want a Pilsner, which is great. It's just like seeing the trends. Cool.
I honestly, almost any brewer that we've talked to on Three Dudes Brews, that's their magic. That's their magical card. That's their one brew that they want to make is a good Pilsner.
It's a good Pilsner.
So it seems like that's the beer to have for me. That's that.
That's so
I've
cool.
said it before. One Long Live has a great Pilsner. The PBD Pils I think is fantastic. And to me, it's kind of a litmus test for me. If you can pull off a good Czech Pils, or any other style for that matter lately, it seems. But if you can pull off the Pilsner, I'm holding out hope that everything else is going to be good. If you can pull off that simple style correctly,
Right.
and well,
The basics.
yes, it's
See-
great. And there's really nothing. I mean,
This is
I want
our
to call it basic.
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, I wouldn't call that
You know,
basic.
it's-
I know what you mean,
yeah.
though.
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is our 1-year anniversary of doing our podcast, and
Hey,
we've
congratulations.
Thanks.
and we've talked to how many head brewers and owners of brewmasters,
Yeah.
and
9.
one thing that is commonplace with every single one of them is a gold standard.
Mhm.
And even amongst yourselves, like when they get together and like, we're outsiders, we just love the craft community, we love drinking craft beer, the whole entire thing, right? But these guys are on the inside, right? They're on a next level, and these guys, that's their gold standard, is comparing the classics of a Czech Pilsner, a Vienna Lager, and they will judge each other based on those types and styles of beers. Like, yeah, you got a great sour, you got a great
Technical.
stout, you got a great dip. Oh yeah, you threw a shit ton of Citra in there, and that's great. But what's your Vienna Lager like? What's your Czech Pilsner?
How many pounds of Citra is actually in a shit ton?
Ugh.
I don't know. I have
Is
to.
it the same as like your universal?
Hey Alexa,
Ton?
Depends the brewery.
You might get an answer.
I might.
You might get an answer.
So, guys, I didn't get to share with you I'm drinking 2 beers this evening. They're both like opposite ends of the beer spectrum. So I'll go with the higher end of the beer spectrum. It's dark. It's like motor oil. It's black.
Beauty.
It's delicious.
Beautiful.
It's by Pivotal Frenchman Street. Their Imperial Stout. It's 11.4 alcohol by volume. It's a chocolatey mess in my mouth. It's hold on. Let me take a sip and I'll let you see my eyes.
Eye contact. Yeah, that's great.
And the other beer that I'm drinking this evening to wash it down with is it's not an Edward favorite. They're not that bad coming out the bottle. The American Light by Sam Adams, which we drank last week, and I was sent home with a bevy of it because it was terrible.
Is it really that bad? I've never had that.
It's just water. It's like water.
We'll do a little side note. Last week when we did the last call, we did a light beer tasting challenge, blind tasting, trying to find the best one because somebody had asked us if we'd ever done it. So we went and did it.
Challenge.
And
we did the ultralight too.
So that beer that he's drinking is the only one that I gave a 0.
Really?
I gave it a 0, and I love Sam Adams. Love Sam Adams. That beer needs to never see the light of day again.
Wow.
Dude, my Atlantic Lager from Narragansett, that's has been my summer go-to, and I rated it a 1.
Right.
And I was just like
No,
bored. I was shocked.
So
But then again, compared to everything else that we had in front of us,
drinking Natty Light is still like drinking plain fucking water, dude.
I used to like Sam Adams Light. Their old one. That thing just needs to be buried out there with all those ET cartridges out there in the desert somewhere.
Right.
Please, guys, hide the recipe. Don't ever let them find it again to make more.
So what do you got?
I've
What's
got
happening?
Pollo Picante.
Oh, very nice.
Spicy mango.
Spicy mango.
Spicy mango. And it is absolutely fantastic. I love this. This is one of my favorite beers.
What's the style?
I don't know.
Fireball in your chest.
I mean,
That's what it is.
Dude, come on,
it
man.
is definitely delicious. It is a sour.
I was going to say, not a sour.
It's a sour. It is a sour.
It is a sour.
But
Okay.
It is,
not-
yeah.
you get more of the heat in the mango than you do sour.
I'm not a spicy kind of guy.
No, he's not.
But that is absolutely delicious. It tastes like fresh mango and
There's a
fresh
lot of mango flavor.
I don't like it at all.
It's great. Well, you know,
That's another skill thing with brewing that I love as well is when you're using spiciness and if you can use it properly.
yes.
Not where it's not just smack you in the face. All you
Right.
taste is pepper, but when you have that nice slow burn, you have the layers of flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. It's when it's done well, it's awesome. But it can be so many times it's bad.
Line ciders, the old line ciders had a beer. Do you remember that?
Carolina Common. Yes, I remember that
Carolina
very
Common.
specifically. Yeah.
I
Carolina,
think I remember that.
California Common.
And
Mm-hmm.
I can do heat. I love heat. And that thing, I took a sip of that, and I was only you didn't get anything but fire.
Yeah.
And that's bad.
That is bad.
So
I can't not try a beer. So if there's a beer there,
I made him
I
taste
will
it.
try it, regardless of whether I'm double
mean-
IPAs. It's got Citra in it. I don't like Citra, but
Yep.
I will try it just to say that I did it. Not
Yeah.
that
It's
can't be scared of it.
No, I do the same thing when I go over a brewery. I always get flights, and it's stuff that I don't gravitate to, but I'll try it. I always have
right.
I remember going to Bare Hands, which is over in Putnam.
I know, bud. I know Bare Hands. Yeah.
And they had, I remember, because I'm not really a sour person, and they had an Ecto Cooler sour.
Yes.
Have you guys had that?
no, but I wanted it.
Yeah.
So and it was like fluorescent green, and I was like,
Yes.
this looks horrifying, but I'm gonna try it just because it's creative. And you know what? It's pretty damn good.
See, they would have got me on the straight nostalgia.
Yeah, the
Well, there
Ecto
was
Cooler
that. I
name, the
totally
color.
understood it. But sour,
Yeah.
that color, I was just like, I don't know about this.
No,
But
for
you know
you,
what?
that's-
I will try anything. And so I was like, you know
Yep.
what? Let's see. And that's the best one is when you go and you're surprised. You're like, oh, I really didn't think I'd like this. And I really do. Wow. That's
Mm-hmm.
well, I was really impressed with that one. I have to say. It was
Bare
scary.
Hands is good. Not only do they have like 12 beers on draft, they also do flights of whiskey and scotch, gentlemen. And it's right up the road in Putnam, Costas.
It's
So a lot
really
of good
good place.
fisheries in
Very,
between
very
there.
weird.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so getting back to the whole, trying out beers that you're not going to like. The only style that I do not like
Ooh.
is saisons.
Oh,
I cannot.
Wow, really?
I cannot do a saison. I'm still searching for one that I like. So we were at Phantom Farms. Good. We'll get to them in a minute.
We're getting to
Oh, I
that.
love Phantom Farms.
So do I.
Phantom
And,
Farms.
so we
Really
were up there, and of course, next thing you know, they knew that I did not like saisons, and I said, they were like, you want to try this? And I'm like, okay, I'll try it.
Oh boy.
I'll give it a shot, and it was drinkable. And
But
it's
he
not
passed it to
knocking
the
their beer at all by any means. I don't do saisons, so I'm glad I didn't get like a full pour of it. I got to taste it. I just something about that style. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what though? For your palate though, for it to be drinkable, it must be pretty damn good.
And that's just it. That was saying a lot. It really was, because I wasn't like a one sip and I'm passing it down to Buddy.
Right.
Mm.
So the fact that I finished it was good. That's a testament from me to you guys. If you got me to drink that much of a saison, you succeeded.
What I mean, have you guys had their the Red Moon Scotch Ale?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Loved it.
Love that. Oh
It's
my
so
god.
good.
I think I want to tomorrow and see if they have any because I really want more.
I was like, you have a Scotch ale on
I
that?
know, right? I was so excited.
Yes, give me some, please.
But speaking of
Never
Phantom
did.
Farms, they just won the. I got a
Yes,
little
you
cheat
did.
sheet here. They
Yep.
won the silver medal in the World Beer Cup for Secret
right.
Tree, which was brewed
did.
in a collaboration with Chester Beer out of Chile.
Yeah.
And it's currently out of stock. But shout out to Phantom Farms for winning the silver medal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Because it was a nice segue because you talked about saison.
No.
But Phantom Farms has, a
Award-winning beer.
award-winning saison
A
peppercorn.
world like
saison.
in a world, right? Like it was a
Right,
world
right.
award.
I was reading up on the statistics of it or whatever, and like so many judges from around the world and almost 1,800 beers or something like that.
I mean,
And these guys
Good for them.
won in this particular category. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Shout out to them for doing
Yes,
that.
yes, definitely. And if they get it back, John, I'll try it.
You
The
have to.
peppercorn aspect of it has been curious.
That's not Pollo Picante.
This
in
is
the
no
glass
longer
beer.
Pollo Picante, folks.
What do you got? What do you got now, Ed? What is that? That looks like a pills.
That doesn't look like what you had before. Yeah.
No,
Wow.
definitely. And that stuff looks like orange juice, and I love it though. So this is an IPA.
Oh, that's
Lord
nice.
Hobo, crispy moon.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Hobotten.
I
He's okay.
don't drink a lot of Lord Hobo, but this one I like.
They've got my first one was Rejects Winter Ale
Oh,
Right.
nice.
because
So,
Nice.
we had winter and then we had first
First winter.
spring and then we had second winter and now we're back to second spring. So
New England.
I started stocking up on sours, and I was ready for spring. I was so into it, and then all of a sudden temperatures dropped down below freezing, and it was like, all right, we're going back to Tower Hill, and we're picking up a couple of stouts. We're going to Rejects and picking up winter ales, and all of these darker, heavier, high ABV. Phantom Farms, the Imperial barley wine that they've got, the Hypernova, I believe it is. So it was all of these lights out. Let's just hibernate until spring comes around, and now spring is. I even took the sticks out of the yard so that way I don't have to worry about the plow coming by anymore, right? So it's official, it's real deal. Spring is here, so I'm ready for springtime beers. I'm ready for some sours, some lighter beers, some fruitier, some raspberry wheats, blueberry wheats. I'm ready. Let's bring on spring.
Listen, folks, Rhode Island's in a true spring when Costas takes the sticks out of the yard.
Yeah.
We're there now. That's the pool's going to be open next, and then they'll be in some.
Stick Costas. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
came out so that way
the change of the season is here. I mowed the lawn for the first time last Friday, and I drank about 6 light beers afterwards, and they were absolutely delicious. And nothing makes for like good summertime beer than like delicious light beer. That's refreshing and beautiful.
It's flavored water,
Yeah, exactly. It's beer flavored water, but it's so much more juicier than water is after working in the garden or mowing the lawn. It's just, I don't know. It has a different crisp than water does.
So, Heather, like I said, we talked about this last week where we all found our newly beloved favorite light beers.
Mm-hmm.
What's your go-to light beer if you're drinking a light beer?
Ooh.
God, I don't even know last time I drank a light beer.
Hey, listen,
you
gotta
I gotta think about that.
So
I honestly can't even think. This is my light beer. Like a wheat ale is like my light beer, pretty much. That's about it. Like I don't do light. If I'm gonna have beer, I want flavor.
It was a rough week last week.
It was. It was
a rough week. And
oh my god, I peed a lot.
Amongst some of the beers we had, hold on, let me see if I can find the list here. And it was not. I mean, we stuck the big box because we wanted everybody to be able to find what it is we were talking about. But we had Blue Moon's light beer. We had Bud Light, Yingling Light, Atlantic Light from Gansett. We had Sam Adams, that god awful concoction. We had Natty Light, Miller Light, and then we had Coors Light, Busch Light, Michelob Ultra, and then Modelo's Oro. That was the lineup we had, and it was a blind tasting. We had no idea what was getting put in front of us. We just knew what number it was.
That's cool.
And I thought the Natty Light was the 0.
Yeah.
And we had Costas, his wife, helping us out, and he was shaking her head laughing because she's like, I can't wait to tell this son of a bitch what he actually did. And shame on you, Sam.
But Blue Moon's light beer.
Oh, that was really good.
It tastes really close. It tastes really close to their
again, a wheat beer.
When you did that list, I was like, oh, I think I've had a Blue Moon Light and I've had a Yingling.
Yeah.
I think those. And were okay. They're all right.
Yeah, the Yingling and the Blue Moon scored highest for us as far as like taste goes, but
see? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And
hi, baby.
Hi, BB.
Hi, baby.
Want a sour? But yeah, no. So it was somebody said, all right, we asked everybody, so what do you want to see us do? And they said, all right, do a light beer challenge. So it's like, all right, what qualifies as a light beer? So we were looking at all the lagers that are out there, and I said, all right, let's get some. We had a Heineken Light, right? So let's not just stick to like American style grandpa's light beers, right? So let's try some Blue Moon. Let's try the Heineken. Let's try Modelo. Let's open up that window and try some things that you might not actually consider a light beer, but are a light beer. Defined by the calorie content. The ABV on that. So a light beer doesn't have to taste like shit.
It
Right?
should.
Although
It shouldn't. No.
Ideally, it shouldn't, but
What's that?
I said ideally it shouldn't, but
Well,
No, ideally, right. But the Blue Moon and the Yingling proved that a light beer doesn't have to taste
no,
yeah.
like
most
garbage.
flavor. I mean, the Blue Moon is really close.
But then again, it was a wheat beer versus a
Right.
a classic lager.
But you
True,
can still
that's
tell it
true.
was a Blue Moon.
Right.
And that was the same thing with Heineken. I mean, if you don't like Heineken, you're not going to like Heineken Light,
Right.
because it's got that distinctive, I don't want to say skunkiness, but
Skunk. That's a skunk taste for sure.
But so, you could tell the Heineken Light was a Heineken Light. You could tell,
Right.
the Blue Moon was a Blue Moon Light. But other those were really, I think the only two that I thought was like, okay, I know what this is. Everything else was kind of like,
Yeah,
wait,
makes
what's
sense.
this?
Makes
It was-
sense.
You could not distinguish one from the other. You could tell that this one tasted better than B, but you couldn't say this one was Natty Light or Natty Light, and then this one was this light. So it was.
And I do like Yingling,
Right.
Yeah.
But those light beers fell into the realm, the category, like the lower end of the spectrum, and they were anywhere from 1 to 4 across the board.
Yeah. Natty has absolutely no flavor whatsoever.
There were so many of them that we had that we were like,
There's nothing to
I
it.
can't distinguish anything
I'm
in
not
this
saying
beer. It's yellow,
Terrible.
right? It's got alcohol in it.
Some of them had some nice color.
Yes.
The bestest. That was the best thing I could say about them was that the color's nice.
It's got bubbles.
It's got
Bubbles and alcohol.
Yeah, it's got bubbles and alcohol. So
That's pretty much like sometimes that's all you need, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
well, you've got that. That's fine.
So
Do you often get other challenges? Like, do people often say like, "Hey, can you go review this or try this?" Or was that your first request?
we did the cider throwdown.
Yeah.
Trying to find the cider in the area because of course it's New England, so we apples and everything. So we did the cider.
Makes sense.
Like I think those. Did we? That was really. I think those are the only.
I think those are the only challenges we done. We wanted to do a pumpkin beer, and we gathered a whole bunch. And I'm a cider guy. I home brew my own cider. I love cider. And it's the holidays. You're talking about October, November, so you've got Halloween. Thanksgiving. Like there's just school starting, so there's just so many things. And it didn't come to fruition, but we're planning on doing that this year.
Listen, if you guys do like a pumpkin beer, bring me back on because I hate pumpkin beer. I hate pumpkin beer.
Oh wow, there's one.
So I would be very curious to see if there was one that I was like into.
All right.
Because I really don't like
it. We're Gen X, so if you double dog dare us, I think you may have to show up and do this with us.
Yeah, for sure.
I can do it.
Right.
We might have to have a female perspective on the
beer.
For the cider. We had Zoe on.
We had my daughter here.
Zoe came on.
We had
Sure.
A millennial perspective and a female perspective on ciders, and
maybe an IPA challenge.
Oh hell yeah, dude! And honestly, I cider challenge.
See his face.
How do you narrow that down? That's impossible.
Though?
The pumpkin beer, that would be interesting. Like, because that is such a quintessential thing that everybody does
seasonal,
it.
And
we can do it in August.
Right.
That's when they all start coming out now.
We do that in October.
No, it's all the summer stuff right now. They're not doing any pumpkin.
Wait. August, I'm telling you, wait.
We've had this discussion before. Where
August, they'll do it, and probably
August.
Seasonal, right? So it's all fresh, it's all local. But we've had this conversation before where, how is it you're making a pumpkin beer in May, or you're doing like blueberry beers in December? We like to drink craft beer. We like to drink it, when it's fresh, when it's local. But how is you getting pumpkins in April? Where is this coming from? Unless it's like, what's that?
Who is doing a pumpkin beer in April?
Well, there's people that start making
They start
pumpkin
making
beers
it,
in
yeah.
like
Oh, start
July.
making it. I see what you're
Right.
doing.
They're
Well,
using the canned purees. They're not going out there picking pumpkins.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is like, all right, so you're definitely not using the fresh product. You're not like it's not coming from a farm, right? So it's got to be like IQF, individually quick frozen, like you're using like frozen product or whatever,
Probably.
or something like that to make a pumpkin beer. It's like I've seen them starting in like July, or August. Like how pumpkins are not ready.
Shipyard starts early. Usually the end of July.
There's been a few name states that are like getting earlier and earlier. And it's,
It's
they're
like-
all trying
It's
to
like coffee, like they do all like the pumpkin spice lattes and shit. Like how quickly that comes out early.
Yeah.
Like this is
Right.
not what I want.
Right.
Every year,
August.
every year it starts like
Not the
2
season.
weeks early.
And that's just it, because they're all
Everybody wants to get ahead of everybody else,
Thank
and you
you.
want to be the first one on the block
They're-
to have it.
they're trying
So
to
it went
beat
from
everybody in the
November
market
to
and get the
October to
sales.
September to August, and
Yeah.
now we got Christmas in July.
It sells though. That's probably it. Like they probably do. It probably sells. So they're like, well, if we start earlier, we make more.
We make more money. Like Shipyard.
But like, what's popular and what's selling in December and November? Is it really popular and selling in July and August? I don't know.
Now, don't get me wrong.
I don't know if I would drink a White Christmas like I would in December, like I would in like July. I don't think it would be the same.
I
honestly.
wouldn't drink it because I'd be afraid to be out of date more than I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we've had happen.
Well, I had
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
Sam Adams summer that was like a year old.
Oh,
I was like, why? Why am I getting this a year later?
Not the same beer, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Best Buy and I'm like, oh hell no, you got to be kidding me. But no, what I was going to say though, buddy, was that you're going to get those fanatics, those pumpkin spice latte for life people,
Right.
that are going to be. I don't care what time of year it is, bring it, and they're going to drink it. I'm surprised Shipyard hasn't turned it into a year-round offering.
It's popular for Shipyard. It's one of the biggest beers.
That's
I
what I'm
would say.
saying. I
It
mean,
is. Well, from a marketing perspective, the exclusivity of it, that it's seasonal,
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
it's the scarcity
Yes.
scarcity complex or whatever.
Stock up now and buy
They're like, I gotta get it now because who knows how long they're gonna have it. So
It's basically their Black Friday.
pretty much,
You know, that's when they're getting out of the red, folks. I'm sorry,
I can't stand it.
and I like Shipyard's pumpkin. I do like it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen,
And then when people put it with like a sugar and cinnamon rim, like, oh,
No.
ever seen that? I'm like, that is an atrocity. Don't.
now my wife does like that. My wife is not a beer drinker at all.
Does she like a pumpkin beer with the cinnamon sugar rim?
So, we were in Salem. They used to have a Salem Beer Works up in Salem, Mass.
Yes, that's a
We
good
would go up
beer.
there.
That's good.
Yeah, we would go up there for before Halloween and everything.
Hmm.
Excuse me, but we would go up there, and we were in Salem Beer Works one day, and then next thing you know, she's like, "Try that," and I'm like, "Oh my god, I think hell just froze over." So she takes a sip, and then she takes another sip, and then she drinks like half my beer, and I'm like, "Do I need to get another?"
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? So everybody's got their own preference.
Right.
That's how
Mm.
we talk about it all the time.
Well, when we went to Angle Tree, they had a creme brulee beer there, and when
Which
you
is great.
had the caramel and the turbinado sugar on the rim, it took it from a 9 to a 10.
Okay.
So it did add a little bit to it. I get that. You're basically just eating sugar on top of sugar.
Sugar,
I'm a sugarholic. I'm not gonna lie, but it definitely like adds something sometimes to it. Like
Yeah,
sometimes
that's
having
true. That's
spiking on the rims, like an apple.
Sometimes it has a function though too, because it will
Right.
activate different taste receptors on the tongue
Right.
and stuff like that.
So if you have like a cider and you put
I'm not gonna
caramel
nerd out on
and
it.
brown sugar on the rim, that should accentuate that cider, right? So how many times have you seen like with a spike? Like I think if you took your Pollo Picante and you did a lime rim with that tagine
Oh,
juice on there,
there you go, Ed. That's a good rim job you could go for, dude.
there might boom.
I think I may have to.
And it comes full circle.
Yeah. So we're getting close to, I think we just hit the hour mark.
We just hit that hour mark, Ed.
We did. Heather, thank you. I know it was supposed to be a quick little thing, I think, but thank you for hanging in there.
No, of course. It was great it's awesome to talk to people who really love beer because I don't really get that many opportunities. So it's nice to really nerd out and not feel stupid. So,
So
I mean,
I want to ask you though, before we do let you go and we start wrapping everything up here. So what do you have in the works right now with your writing? What do we got going on? Is there anything coming that
in Yankee Brew
you can tell us about?
Well, I think the next issue should be coming out very soon. So I'm still doing the Rhode Island and Connecticut. I do their profiles, I do the news, I do the occasional feature article. I also write women in beer. So I'm always looking for women who are involved in the beer industry to talk to. So anybody ever has a suggestion, come find me because it's not always easy to find. So I'm always looking for suggestions, and I've had some awesome conversations. But and for
Crooked Current.
Yeah.
Well, that was my first. When they gave me the woman in beer column, I'm like, well, I'm writing about Nicole.
Yeah,
because I'm a super fan.
Yeah,
smallest brewery in the state of Rhode Island, and again, like we've said, she's got the highest flavors, reviews and ratings or whatever. So,
and she's got the smartest business model and just everything. I always think and again, I know we're over the hour mark, and I'm always raving about Nicole, but I love the fact that she takes things at Christmas that should be atrocities. They should be sugar bomb,
like the eggnog.
Like eggnog stout or a gingerbread brown ale. What was the other one? Fruit cake. That was one she's got. You're like, oh, that just sounds like a sugar from hell. And they're good. They're not only good, they're subtle.
Yes.
They're subtle. You can taste the layers, and it's not over. You're like, how do you do that? So I just think she's phenomenal. But yeah, that's what I'm just going to keep doing is touring around and meeting people, and I'm always up for recommendations. So
Nicole was our first show ever that we ever did, and she was not only like our first guest, but I say it all. She's went into the creativity of the show and the dynamics of how our show operated. So it's she's a great brewer. She's a great lady, and
she is.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Fantastic.
That's the great thing about Rhode Island. I always say that whenever I travel, the amount of talent that's in this state is pretty astounding.
It's huge.
You start going to other states and you're like, wow, you guys kind of suck. Or it's a little harder to find really good stuff. Whereas here, I feel like there's multiple places you can find something really interesting going on. So it's a cool place. I'm really glad I get to cover it.
And that's to say, we always break it down by region. We'll go, okay, we're going to be in this area. We hit 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever,
For sure.
Think about Rhode Island. Having this many, we're blessed.
Well, not just Rhode Island, but the whole southern New England region.
Yeah,
you talk about Massachusetts, you talk about eastern Connecticut, you talk about all of Rhode Island, the Brewers Guild. I've traveled all over the world, and I'm sorry, but there are a few places that come close.
Yeah, I agree.
This area here,
Pacific Northwest, I think, would be the next.
Pacific Northwest,
best area.
Virginia, Maryland area. There's a lot of great places down there. You have some fantastic places in Texas and California. So some in Florida or whatever. But as far as
in a concentrated area,
per capita, the amount of places you have, 40 places in Rhode Island. How many places in Massachusetts? How many places in Connecticut? Oh, so you go from Providence and you go a mile in any direction.
Yeah.
Think about all the places you can hit.
And think about how many of those places are any of them bad?
No.
Really, I would never name anybody, but I have to really think if there's any place that I'm like, oh.
No.
There are certain places where okay, you might, number 1 versus number 2.
Yeah, but I can't think of any never again.
Well, there's never a place where there are places where I'm like, damn, I got to get back there. But there's never a place where I'm like, I'm not going back.
But isn't that crazy? I don't think that's the norm.
No,
we're really lucky. We're really fortunate to have that.
I think there's maybe, there may be a place where we go where I'm like, okay, I usually like these 1 or 2. But even then, that's stretching it. I really don't think there's been any place we've gone to where I've said, oh, I don't want to try that, or I want to try this, or I love that. And or like you said, there's never been a place.
And there's
the area that I've
always
been.
a style available that
Yeah.
you may like and I may not, but then there's a style that I'm going to like and you may not.
Yeah.
So there's always
Yeah.
something for
saisons.
everyone. Right. So I love saisons. I love wheat beers. I love sours. I don't like dippers. IPAs in general, right? But
No.
you and Buddy are going to be like, Buddy's going to like double IPAs, single IPA, New England, the West Coast, whatever. And you're going to like Czech Pilsners. You're going to like Vienna Lager, like everything.
I
Right?
want one.
So, yeah, exactly. But so every place has something for everybody at the broad spectrum.
Yeah.
And you can find that at every single brewery.
Yeah.
No matter where you go, there's something for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And you go to some places and you don't find them.
Well, on that note, Heather, I want to thank you so much
Thank you guys, man. This was
for
awesome.
being here with us tonight and spending this time. It was great having you on. It's always great, when you find women in craft beer.
Yes.
On both sides, whether they're making it, brewing it, enjoying it, or,
We are
and
fun.
It's fantastic,
We are fun to be around.
Again, thank you so much for being on, and we're definitely gonna have you around.
Have me back anytime.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back.
Next round is on us, and you are
Yes.
definitely going to be here for the pumpkin challenge.
Oh, all right. I'll do it.
Sounds
You
great.
never know. Maybe something will come across and it will change my mind. I'd love to see it. We'll see.
You'll be surprised.
Challenge accepted.
Okay.
Double dog dare you.
All right.
Oh boy,
Thank you.
Ed. Before we wrap up, any
Right.
any idea what episode 9? We're gonna crack episode 9.
Yes. So
Crafted hope.
it's been a little
Hint, hint.
crazy on my end. So we're gonna get episode 9. Is it 9? 9?
9.
9.
9.
Okay, okay, enough of that. We're gonna get that out here soon. Probably be able to. I don't think it's gonna. Well, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. It might make it out this
What are you doing
weekend.
tomorrow?
A lot. It might make it out this weekend. It may be next
Drinking
week,
beer?
but it won't be any later than next week. So it'll be out next week. I promise.
And we're filming our next episode, gentlemen. From Three Ravens, in Connecticut.
Yes.
Triple Raven.
Triple Raven, yeah.
Yeah, I just reviewed them.
Spoiler alert.
Well, no, we can tell them where we're at. They
Tell
just
them where we gotta go.
Okay.
Mark Ambrose sent them our way, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, these guys want to do a beer show."
Yeah, and I mean, by all means, if there's anybody, Heather, that that could benefit from a little more advertising or free publicity or whatever,
We've got 3 places on
A little beer talk.
that's our whole
It's
mission.
not about us. It's about them.
Exactly. We're not here to get famous, to get rich. We're not making any money. We're here to promote everybody, to promote the community, and to help them out.
Right.
That's all we're here for.
That's great.
And celebrate craft. So, buddy, you want to
And
put a
with that
bow on
note-
this?
Yeah. For Heather Bryant of Yankee Brew News, for the doctor and the Greek, the best ball handlers I know. This has been Buddy Thayer. His last call. Tune in Tuesday for the Goat and the Ghost, and of course next week. 2 weeks from now. As for the last.
I'm calling your mother.
I'm calling your mother for
Cheers.
the last call. Cheers, guys. Have a good week.